Guys, deluded Gunnar. Ruben lost his cheek. Those of you who follow me on Twitter know I've been very vocal about him for a number of years. This is football. We all know who he is. We've all seen him. He's a player I like a lot. He's obviously gone on loan to Crystal Palace, and although he's young, he hasn't really played consistently throughout his whole career in the senior game, and it will remain to be seen whether he keeps these consistent levels up in December and May and so on for next season. But so far so good, to be honest with you. He's had some injuries, so he didn't feature in a couple of games. I think he missed Swansea and Burnley, but he started against Liverpool, started against Huddersfield, and he played all right in them. I mean, even today he played good against City. He should have finished his dinner in a couple of opportunities, and it could have been a different game if he scored them chances. But he's a player I like a lot, and he's impressed, and yeah, that's all you can do. Even against Southampton, he done his dirt. I think he got rested in the Carling Cup. But yeah, he's a player that I really think is going to have a career for somebody. Now, of course, at Chelsea immediately it is a bit gazy in the sense that Coutinho, he's not a manager. Conte said no assurances, and that's how it should be to a degree, and he's taken to that. He said he doesn't want any assurances. That's elite mentality. And then you've got to look at the midfield options. Cess is getting on a bit. I did think they will sign another midfielder, but they've got Cess, who is completely different to Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They've got Bakayoko, who is he's not a first team in the first team per se. He's not starting yet. He will be, but he's still adapting. They've got him. Obviously, they've got my guy. I am Kante, so Kante. So it is going to be hard. Kante is extremely consistent. Bakayoko looks like he's going to be a very good player, and sadly he is better than for the purpose of this, he is considerably better than Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Bakayoko. And Cess is completely different, but if they wanted to play more expansively, someone that can connect the dots and things like that, Cess can do all of that above Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I did think they'd bring in another centre mid in the summer, so by that logic, there is a spot for him. There is a spot for him regardless in this Chelsea side or in the squad, and he would play some games if he did improve and things like that. But if you're looking at, if I was him and I was looking at it in the sense that if I go back to Chelsea, do I see myself starting ahead of the midfielders I've named consistently? I'd say no. Now that means that means I'm not shutting down the door to going back, trying in pre-season, giving it another season, and then if I go there for another season and it doesn't happen, moving on. That just means I'm thinking logically, would I play games? And you've got to say his move to Palace has been backed up. He's even said you can train with all the best players you want, but playing a game is what you need. He needs game time. He needs to establish himself in the Premier League. He needs to establish himself as a footballer. He needs to find himself as a footballer. I mean, not for me personally. I think he's a box-to-box midfielder. I believe he could be, I don't want to say the Lampard sort, but he could be a box-to-box midfielder. He'll grab you 10 or plus goals. He's strong. He has a work ethic. He handles it. He's not afraid to put in the shift defensively. He can play a number of roles. Obviously, he can play further forward like you've seen him playing for the under-21s in England. He can play defensive mid. Obviously, he can do the box-to-box and stay in deeper in midfield thing. So he is a player that has got a lot of real talent. But what do I always tell you guys? You need to pick midfield roles. That's what he needs to do. I've given you guys the examples as to Ox, Wilshere, Dele Alli, Barkley. There's numerous examples of players that are midfielders, but what do they actually do in midfield? What is their actual midfield role? And is that going to be what they're going to be for years to come? I see this guy at 26, an established footballer in the Premier League at some level, good for 10 or plus goals and consistent. Now, he's got to ask himself, I mean, if it wouldn't be the end of the world if Chelsea sold him. They've got Bakayoko and Kante. They can sign any midfielder they want because they've got the money and they're a big club. They would make a decent profit on Ruben Loftus-Cheek, because if I had to make a bet on it, and I'd say if I was in Chelsea's position and we decided to sell him, I'd say 20 mil minimum. That's a good profit for someone that hasn't featured that much in your first team, and someone that doesn't look like they're going to have a future there at this moment in time. I think from 2014 or so, he's only made 32 appearances since 2014. So that shows you how hard it is to get games at Chelsea as a young player, and I'm pretty sure not a lot of that was 90 minutes. I'm not having shots. I'm just giving you guys the facts. Like, if he did leave, like I said, it wouldn't be the end of the world at Chelsea, but it would allow him to grow as a footballer, to get out of his comfort zone, to make a name for himself. And Chelsea could always cover their aces, cover their backsides and cover their aces by putting a buyback clause in that contract. He needs game time. There's no way around that. What he cannot afford to do is be sitting on the bench and things like that. For me, if he gets enough games and shines, and I say this very strongly, the biggest outsider chance of making that World Club squad. I had to say that to reiterate the point. He's a player I like a lot, man. I really like him. I really, really like him. Like, he can be a player. He's got great technique. He's strong in the challenge. He's strong in general. He's got the physique. He's got the movement. He can pass the ball. He shows a willingness to score. His finishing can improve, but he gets into good positions. That shows how good his movement is. He's a player I like. I mean, he's a player I like. I don't know why Conte tried to at one point turn him into a striker, or it appeared he was trying to, but I'm sure he had his reasons. But he's a player I like, and I want him to have a future. I found out his half brother or something's Leon Court that used to play football. I don't know if it's true, but I typed in his name on Google to handle my research, and it came up. So I mean, yeah, I never knew that. That's a fun fact. But if I was him, and you make a bet on it, he's going to play 30 Premier League games and start some and things like that. That's ultimately what he wants. Like Fosu Mensah, shout out to Fosu Mensah because I believe he had a good game today against Manchester United. That's what he wants, playing in the big games. Ultimately, the experience. You can be on the bench and be on the bench for the big games, and you can travel with the side and train with the side, but there's nothing like playing. You only learn. He's at the stage where he has to learn from his own mistakes. He needs to see that, okay, I'm on the pitch, I can't do certain things. I can't be higher up the pitch. I need to help the team remain rigid defensively. I need to put the team's collective before mine. Ultimately, they learn to fight because academy football is all about education. Football at this level is about fighting. People got mortgages to pay. It's literally life or death. And if you're Palace and they ain't won a game and they ain't scored, then they're playing very crap. It literally is life or death. People's mortgages are on the line. Yeah. So guys, Deluded Goon, I'm signing out. I hope to be here in May, saying he's played 20 plus games. I need 5 goals from you. I rate you a lot. I believe ultimately you can be a 10-goal midfielder, but because it's your first year as a professional playing consistently week in, week out, you give me 5 goals, I'll leave you alone. But guys, I'm wrapping this up. Loftus Cheek, I hope you play a lot of games. I hope you go back to Chelsea ready to fight. And if you decide to move on, I hope you find a club that gives you a chance. Anyways, guys, Deluded Goon, I'm signing out. Get in the comments. Follow me on my socials. Subscribe.